Howdy y'all, my name is Brent Hefferton, Mistrunner, Tormore of the Mistrunner tribe, and today I wanted to talk to y'all about playing Rogue in Burning Crusade Classic. Rogue is one of the classic classes in role-playing games. Maybe you've heard of Rogue in Dungeons & Dragons, or in various and other sundry games, where you're a stealth-oriented character who uses invisibility and stealth and subterfuge to take initiatives in fights, and with very high dexterity to be able to dodge a bunch of attacks. Rogues have a bunch of different tricks at their disposal, lots of cooldowns they have available for use, and you might be wondering, hey Brent, what's it like to play Rogue in Burning Crusade Classic, and should I play Rogue as my main? Well, the short answer is, fuck no, you should not. Rogue is the bottom of the barrel in terms of what people want to bring to their raids and their groups. Rogues do no AoE, except for Blade Flurry, which hits the next target. You hit 2 things, good job. Rogue does pretty good damage if you know what you're doing, and in the later phases of the game, they can top the meters consistently on fights where melee doesn't have too bad of a time. However, if you are not an expert at the game, and you do not have very good mechanics with your hotkeys and your ability to use abilities very fast, you will be poop tier, and no one will like having you in the run. Why did I make a rogue, you might ask? Brunt, you're crazy. Well, the reason I made a rogue is because I enjoy the speed. As a main tank, I have the highest APM rotation already. Rogue is up there, I would say top 3. In terms of how many buttons you have to push very fast to be able to maximize your damage. In addition, you'll need to be very good at maneuvering through the fight, because you want to make sure you're behind any target that you're fighting so you don't get parried. In addition, you have to take your own initiatives in forming groups. This means that when you join stuff like looking for group, I'm looking for a group for dungeon. Let's say I want to do Shadow Labs, so I can get my BIS ring that has expertise on it. If I list myself here, like this, nobody's going to want to bring the rogue. They would want to bring the mage, because the mage has AoE. They bring water to the table. They can make biscuits. They want to bring a shaman, even if it's enhanced more than a rogue. Why? Because they bring totems. They can res. They have bloodlust. They have all kinds of utility. A hunter, they can do traps. They're ranged. Hunter is an easier class to play on the lower end. If you're a really bad hunter, you're going to be more successful than a really bad rogue. So when people are pugging, they would usually pick a hunter over a rogue. And you might say, wow, that sucks. You still want to play rogue? Yeah, I'm fine with it. Reason being, I've had to form groups leading the guild since day 1 of Classic. That means if you want to form a group, you got to do it the old-fashioned way. I'm talking you message people. You do /who, hunter, 70, /who, whatever. Let's say we want to get a tank, warrior 70, boom. And you find people who are not in an instance already, and you whisper them, hey, are you down to run Shadow Labs? Can you tank Shadow Labs? And you just send them a nice whisper, and you're going to get a bunch of people who say no, but you might get one who says yes, and then you've got a tank. So if you want to play rogue, you can't be just sad for yourself that nobody wants you in groups, because that is your fate. That is your choice. By playing a rogue, you bring less utility than pretty much any other class, but you can really pump if you know what you're doing. You also have a sap, which is very valuable in dungeons. You also have blind, which is another big disable that you can use. You also have kidney shot, which can stun targets for a very long amount of time. And when applied to a very powerful elite in a trash pack, kidney shot can really change the course of a fight. In addition, you have kick, which can interrupt a lot of powerful abilities, like those summoners in Shadow Labs that summon a whole nother elite, or something that's doing mind control. Rogue, if you think about it, is an extremely powerful class. But you need to be extremely good at the game to be able to capitalize and maximize its potential. Most people who are picking up WoW for the first time, Yeah, their mechanics are not going to be very good. Positioning and maneuverability is going to be slow and clunky at best. And if you pick Rogue, you're going to be having a pretty bad time improving at the game. If you fancy yourself a go-to gamer, or you want the challenge, bring it on. You can pick Rogue if you want to. I'm not going to stop you. Hell, I made a Rogue. Rogue is a very fun class to play. But it's kind of like fighting uphill and against the wind for all of Phase 1 and Phase 2 and Phase 3 of TBC. Maybe in Phase 4, whenever you're getting towards Sunwell and Hyjala and all that kind of stuff, maybe then the rogues will be styling on the meters and people will want to bring a rogue or two at most in the raid. But for the current phase, rogue spots are very limited. Most 25-man raids will only want to bring one rogue to the raid. 2 rogues, you could swing that, but you're not really going to get that much utility out of them. There is one ability that you could say is rather powerful for the rogue. And that would be asking this mage for a portal. Well,
how are you?
That's what it's like being a rogue. I'm getting this guy tuned.
Have a good one.
What else am I doing? I got a bunch of this stuff crafted. Maybe y'all have heard of Braun, Nighthoof Mistrunner, Torn Druid of the Mistrunner tribe. That's my brother. He's a leather worker. I paid for the mats to get this base level gear. Fell leather set. Just gives me a nice bit of stats here. And I gemmed it with some green gems because it's more economical. You get pretty good stats and it's way cheaper. I also got the Hourglass of the Unraveler here from Black Morass. I also got a Latros from Black Morass 2, which is your bis offhand as a rogue. And if you're thinking about rogue, the main bread and butter spec for DPS would be combat swords. This is the spec that I've been using to level up, which involves riposte. Riposte is something that you don't want if you're in a main raid, say doing Tempest Keep and Serpent Shrine, because you should be attacking behind the boss, and if the boss is attacking you, well, the tank is dead, and that's a problem. So you don't really want to plan around the tank being dead and you tanking the boss as a rogue. So these talents would not exist in a final build for raiding, but for leveling up, riposte is really good because that's 5% of the time you're parrying all the targets that you're fighting, in addition to being able to disarm and using an ability for only 10 energy, which is very low, that deals 150% weapon damage. So this is my spec here if you wanted to see for leveling up. No points in subtlety. Some stuff in assassination. Another thing to think about too, I've talked about this with the warrior videos as well, is hotkeys. If you have bad hotkeys that are suboptimal and you have to press 5 and 6 all the time, and then you're clicking abilities, you're gonna suck. You will be a very terrible and slow rogue, and your DPS on the meter will reflect that. However, if you have pretty nice setup here, this was my DPS before I got those upgrades, in a group that has very little assistance to melee DPS. If you know what you're doing, you can pull your weight in a run, and you can be very pleasant. So remember, if you're a rogue, no one's gonna like you, and you're gonna have to work really hard to be accepted. You're gonna have to take your own initiatives, get your own gear crafted, form your own groups, and pave your own way. You're a scoundrel. You're someone who doesn't bring all that fancy stuff to the table that the shamans and the mages and the warlocks and all that stuff bring. In addition, every fight mechanic is more difficult as a melee, so you're choosing more difficult fights and more difficult social situations and more difficult class mechanics than pretty much every other class. That being said, if you are hard and you are strong and you want to take that initiative and you want to play something that's a little bit harder and a little bit faster, try out a rogue. It's really cool. The PvP is very satisfying. You've got a bunch of abilities in your toolkit. You can sprint, you can go fast, you can cloak, you can get off debuffs on yourself. You can cause bleed on the target. And then you can run away and they bleed out. You can use Deadly Throw and deal some damage at ranged. You can gouge and interrupt targets from attacking you. But then when that falls off, you can blind. And you can bandage yourself. Notice that I did not click a single ability this entire time. That is absolutely crucial. If you click an ability as a rogue during a fight, you have fucked up. And you are not a good rogue. How the hell do I get out of here? And my hearth is down for 32 minutes. Trying to get Kara tuned. My third character. My other character that I have at 70 is a Resto Shaman. The reason I leveled the Resto Shaman before the Rogue is because everyone wants a Resto Shaman, and as soon as that Shaman hit 70, even though the gear was crap tier, everyone wanted the Shaman in the raid because that's another group of Bloodlust, and another group of Totems, and another Mana Tide, where your gear doesn't matter. If you're a Rogue with crap gear, you bring nothing to the table, except for a kick, maybe, or a kidney shot on trash. But aside from that, you're worthless. So you've really got to make those investments, make those optimizations, get a ton of hit rating. Rogue is really dependent on hit rating. You want to be sure that your gear is enchanted. I have Crusader on these weapons here for leveling up, but whenever I hit 70 and I can equip the Latros, slap a Mongoose on that right away. Mongoose is a really important enchant on your weapons. If your gear is not gemmed and enchanted, nobody's going to want to invite you. Get minor speed to boots. I've seen people who don't get minor speed on their boots. If you're a melee class and you don't have speed on your boots, I don't know what you're doing with your life, honestly. It's so powerful. 8% movement speed from minor speed. If you get really nice boots, say when I get some epics, I'm going to put cat swiftness on there so I get agi plus speed. So good luck. Any potential rogues? You've got your work cut out for you. Maybe I'll make some videos about rogue rotation and things like that, and some combat if you would like to see it. But anyways, for me, Brunt, I wanted to address people who have been asking, hey, is rogue a good class to play in TBC? Short answer is nope, pick something else. Unless you want to have a bad time and you like that kind of challenge. Anyways, don't forget to repair before you leave town, and, as always, ancestors watch over you.